News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. Hey, Donald J. Trump on his 90 Minutes on Fox and Friends. One of the things you got to hear is this part of his interview about the illegals that Joe Biden has chose to let in this country. And you're not going to believe the latest news coming out today. It's beyond terrible, and it's way worse, and it's more angering. I mean, I cannot describe the levels that Joe Biden's going to invade and legalize illegalities and to destroy this nation and replace our votes. Here is the president. I should say President Trump. Hopefully the next president, right?
I think their futures are on the line. I mean, as he said, $34 trillion in debt. I think that means we're paying almost $1 trillion in interest.
I'll give you an example.
That's a different one. I apologize. Here we go. This is the one right here. So many Trump audio cuts.
Now I'm going to do the big deportation, the biggest ever. Eisenhower did the biggest. This will be bigger. But it's a very tough thing. What they've done to our country is unthinkable, that they could do this. And so many other things. I mean, going to New York, the kids can't have Little League games anymore. It sounds so trivial, right?
Why?
Because the migrants are living in the fields. They have all tents, unless you want to play around the tent.
How can you implement deportations, and do you think the public will have the appetite, the stomach for watching deportations on their television screen?
Well, that question is so great and so tough, because the radical left is going to start saying, "Oh, look, so you'll get rid of 10 really bad ones, and one, beautiful mother who they think is guilty of something, and maybe she is, maybe, and it'll become a story, or a family that's a good family and came in wrong, and they're going to show it, then it's going to always be tough. It's not going to be easy, and we have to use a lot of good judgment. But the way you get rid of them is the local police. The local police know these people by their first name, their middle name, and their last name. The local police are great. They're just not allowed to do their job. They're afraid of losing their pension. They're afraid of losing their wife or husband. They're going to lose their house. They're losing everything. And one of the things I'm doing is giving local police immunity from prosecution. They get prosecuted. When they do their job, they get like your soldiers. When they do their job, when they watch department stores being raided by 500 people, when guys are walking out with television sets and they're told to stand back, okay? They're told to stand back, do not do anything. And they go into these stores, these big stores that have, opened 2 years ago, and they spent $25 million to build a store. And the stores are empty down to the shelves. They even take the shelves out. They take everything. And the cops are standing there. They don't want to be standing there. They want to do their job. You know who's great? The Border Patrol. The Border Patrol, I know them so well. They endorse me. They always endorse me. They say when Trump comes back, it'll all be better.
All right, so there it is. Just one of the many cuts. All this is on my Twitter feed. Follow me on Twitter at Chris Kroc Show. That's at Chris Kroc Show. CHRISKROK. Now, we have brand new breaking news today. Several stories that are outrageous from the Biden administration on the illegals. Mass amnesty. Joe Biden is offering mass amnesty to illegals as he quietly terminates 350,000 asylum cases. Their cases have been dismissed. 350,000. Watch this. What this means is they're not applying for asylum. They are simply an illegal here with no status, no nothing. They're just here with nothing and no legal papers. Joe let them in, and Joe killed the cases so they wouldn't get kicked out for violating the court order. You're in. I wanted this. Now you're in. Just like an illegal who came 20 years ago. And in 20 years, when they pop out all these kids and have anchor babies and get married, you're ripping apart families. Kiss my rumpus. Trump said, get out of here. Get out of here. Well, but sir, I paid $10,000 to a smuggler. I don't give a frog's fat. You know what? Get out of here. Here's your $10,000. Here's a Kleenex. Shove it up your rump and get out of this country. Here's a plane ticket and a meal ticket. Get out of here. That's it. You can say it compassionately, but if there's any more, just get out of here. I'm done being nice. You're done. You want to get arrested? You want to get jailed? No? Then you want a record? Then get out. There's your ticket. Get out. He's going to have mass tents on the border and have mass hearings with real judges that'll kick them out because they won't qualify. Not this intentional standard, just rubber stamp and let in. Rubber stamp. 12 million. 12 million. We have about 1.5 to 2 million gotaways. You know what the gotaways are? We don't know who they are. They did not turn themselves in. They do not want to be detected. They are terrorists. They are drug smugglers. They are rapists. They are murderers. They are child molesters. They purposely do not want to be caught. The ones that he's dealing with right here, these illegals are his illegals that he wants, but the other ones are the ones that we can't stop because we're too busy processing his 12 million illegals that are coming in nonstop, 4 to 12,000 a day. Nothing has slowed down. Tomorrow he's coming out with Joe Biden's coming out tomorrow with executive order. He took every Trump executive order, 90-something. I could play the soundbite of his HHS secretary, DHS secretary, Alejandro Mayorkas, right away within a week or two. We have eliminated his pedo voice. We have eliminated so many of the Trump ordinances. I have lost count. Over 90, not ordinances, but executive orders. Excuse me, I'm going to go see that child over there. He looks lonely and kind of cute. I'll be right back. Pedo voice. 5 months after their experiment of taking all the Trump stuff away because they hate Trump, they could have done this executive order he's doing today. Remember? He lied. I don't have the power. Congress, we need Congress. Lie. He's doing what he could have done on day one. Refused to. He wanted this. 12 to 15 million by the time he's done here in office. And this is what he wants. And look, the 1.5 million gotaways, you understand, 1.5 million people. That's more than Fort Worth has as a city. That's about what Dallas has as a city population, not the county. County's 2.5. You understand that? The city of Dallas is in this country, and they don't want you to know who they are, and they don't want to turn themselves in. They don't want to be caught because they are wanted or will be thrown out or they're a terrorist. Okay? Now, Joe Biden gave mass amnesty to 350,000. Second of all, that's nothing. There's more. It's worse. Joe Biden has broken the law to give millions of illegals work permits. He has illegally given all these millions he's allowed into this country who don't belong here, who aren't here for, they don't qualify for asylum. 9 out of 10. I heard Tom Homan, Trump's former DHS secretary or former border security secretary, he said that 9 out of 10 of the ones right now don't qualify for asylum, but they applied for it because Joe's like, yeah, let's just do that. Okay? Millions of illegals workers permits, which is illegal. Because he wants them to take our jobs. He wants them to dilute the Republican votes. Because what they're going to do is that a lot of them are going to New York and Chicago. You're like, well, what is that for? Because the census counts illegals. Republicans want to change that. We've tried that for years. Democrats keep stopping it. These illegals living in New York City, an extra, 200 or 100,000, that's a new congressman in certain districts. That's a new Democrat. Now you got a new Democrat, a new seat. See? More votes, less Republicans. Democrats get permanent power. All about that. That's called the replacement theory. Also, more voters to dilute the votes eventually. I got some other stuff, too. 2 New York City cops were shot today, overnight. Guess what? You know who shot him? I'll just get right to it. One of Joe Biden's Venezuelan illegals who just came over the border, Eagle Pass. These are people that Joe Biden stamped and said, come in. That's why we know he came over in Eagle Pass. He's letting people in that are murdering our cops. You know what the bullet? There's a hole in the bulletproof vest. New York City Mayor Eric Adams held it up to the media. That cop would have been dead. He shot 2. The legal was on a stolen scooter, wasn't registered. He doesn't belong in this country, and he's got a handgun, and he shoots our cops while he's committing crimes. He's wanted on several armed robberies and bank robberies, I believe it was, or store robberies with a gun. See this? That's who Joe Biden brought in here. You know the other one that he brought in? He didn't rape, but he murdered and he bashed in Laken Riley, that college student from Georgia. Remember that? While she was taking a jog? Her head is totally disformed because he bashed it in so much. And do you know that right before, on that same day before he did that, you know what he was doing? Another UGA, Georgia, faculty member or teacher, RA or something like that at the dorm, he was spying on him. He's peeping Tom on him. He was going to rape this girl, and he wants to kill. Remember what happened to him, too, in New York prior to this. He was in New York. You know what he did? He got arrested for endangering a minor child. And you know what he did? New York Democrats let him out. No bail, no nothing. He's illegal. Came down here, and they knew he was illegal. Comes down to Georgia, murders Laken Riley with his bare hands. You know his brother? His brother is suspected to be a member of the most notorious gang in Venezuela, Tren de Aragua. They're worse than gangs, and they're in like 4 states now. 4 countries. I'm sorry, they're in 4 countries now, but they're multi-billion-dollar, and they're here now. They're raping us. They're killing us. They killed a man and kidnapped a woman and raped a woman in Miami. They're in Chicago, according to the FBI. They're in New York, and they're also working together with MS-13 now, not because they like them, because they're coming together and they're robbing. Remember that lady that was dragged by her purse, an old lady in New York, and her legs, the wrong side, not the side that bends, the wrong side, slammed into, because she was dragged without knowing it. She just was instantly grabbed. The Venezuelan illegals are on the scooters, one on the back. He grabs the purse and they drag her, and her legs slam into, in a way they can't bend backwards the other way. They slam into at like 15 to 20 miles an hour. Her whole body slams into one of those, where they pay the toll, not the tolls, the parking meters. And her legs were probably broke, and she's probably 60. And they steal that phone in there, and then within a few hours, they take everything out of her bank accounts, all of her credit cards, and some of them are buying pools for their homes in Venezuela. You listen to me. Here's what I told you. They come here because, listen, last thing, I know we got to go, but listen. Wall Street Journal front cover story 2 years ago. The Venezuelan criminal is standing with his hands in his pocket, leaning back against the car, lamenting that his gun has 1 bullet left because he ain't got a pot to pee in, and the people he robs have nothing. He comes here. He is big pimping. He's making more money than he's ever made in his life because Venezuela's done. Why? Socialism. Socialism is what Joe Biden's doing in this country. This is what the Democrats are, what they want. The ignorant people they're bringing in, socialism. That's where all this is going. And I'm telling you now, this country's being destroyed by this man. Just like a good socialist, like the one in charge in Venezuela now, we, the United States and the world community, which I'm not a fan of quoting, they say the legitimate president is Juan Guaido, but Nicolas Maduro is the bastard child of Hugo Chavez. And it's a stolen election. We said it. All the major powers said it. And Juan Guaido is hiding in another country. That's where we're headed. My mother-in-law was where my wife is and my daughter are, ministering to her father, who's got dementia. His wife is from Venezuela for 30 years. Right when she got here, I talked to her in Spanish because that's all she could communicate with, and she was grateful for a family member that actually could speak freaking Spanish, and I loved it too. And she has been yelling about Chavez for 20 years. Her kids come here, they got a pot to pee in. They slept on her floor. We know them, we love them. They slept on her floor with nothing. A dentist that was killed in that Fort Worth ice crash a couple years ago, or a year or two ago, she had nothing. She was a dentist in Venezuela. She was scrubbing freaking toilets for a living here, and she was grateful. That's where we're headed. The state bird is a flamingo. They're finding their chest cut off because they're starving. They're eating the state bird. They don't care when you're starving. All right, we'll be right back. Two New York cops were shot and almost killed. As I mentioned, a hole blown. But one was shot in the leg. One was shot. A hole was blown into his through his vest. New York City Mayor Eric Adams said and showed it at the press conference. A 19-year-old. How old are you guys? Yo, guys. Hello. How old are you guys? 23 and 25. Could you imagine having a stolen gun and a stolen motor scooter and being chased by 2 New York City cops at 19 years of age and shooting them in the chest and in the leg? That's who Joe Biden brought in here from Venezuela. He also, as I mentioned, is wanted in several. Here we go. He's got a suspect of several snatch and grab robbery investigations in Queens, one in which a woman was allegedly attacked and had her credit card stolen. It's unbelievable. That's who Joe Biden has brought into this country, along with the murder of Laken Riley, rapists in what do you call it? Metro DC, in Maryland, in let me think. Florida, there was a woman raped by one, a man murdered by one, and every other day Haitians are raping a profoundly disabled women up in Boston. One's a rapist of a 14-year-old up in Boston. All who Joe Biden brought in, the rapes, the murders, and for what? Will the people of this country vote him out, or will they say, I want more of this? Give us more. I pray not, but that's what it is. Okay, up next on the Chris Crock Show on News Talk 820 WBAP. This one's a big one for me. So many great topics. Some I didn't even get into. We'll do tomorrow night. But guess how many homes? I've told you how against I am of these corporate companies buying up our homes, and they turn around and rent them for like twice what I pay for my mortgage in my neighborhood. Guess what? Guess what percentage of them, and people were disregarding me, guess what the percentages of them, how many they bought in Fort Worth? It's going to stun you. And then we're going to talk about what we should do about that next. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. Well, if you've listened to me with some regularity, you've probably heard me rail against the corporations that are buying houses. And I've seen this happening in my neighborhood. And I want to tell you, if you think you're immune because you live in a what was once a $400,000 community or $500,000 or $600,000 community that's now $800,000 or $900,000 or $1 million, you are not immune. There's a listener who was awesome who called in one night, and he is a recent transplant from Vegas, and he lived next door to his house was $1.2 million in Vegas, and he lived next door to a house that went viral on the news. It was a party house, short-term rental, and I mean the house is worth over $1 million next door to his house, and his house is $1.2 million, and he's got a rental next door, a short-term rental. And there were wild, insane, drug-fueled, crazy parties. And when the cops finally went in there, that's what went viral. It was unbelievable what was inside of that house. And whether it is a corporation buying it for... And this story I'm about to get into is not about short-term. So I don't want to get into short-term rentals. I don't want to talk about short-term rentals. I'm just telling you how you can think you're exempt, but you're not. Whether it be Airbnb or corporations. Because listen, let me talk to you about this. If you're an executive with Toyota, or if you are somebody that works at a company that earns, $250,000 a year for your salary, or $300,000 or $350,000 a year for your salary, or whatever, you're not going to sometimes buy a house right away. They'll put you up in a corporate house for 6 months or something, whatever. Then so that way you can come in, don't have to rush. You can sell your house at your liking of the price. You don't have to rush, and vice versa. So maybe 6 months, maybe they give you a year. You know how that works. There's perks. And that's all good. But corporations, it's not, and by the way, I didn't mean to say it's about companies buying them. What it really is about is these corporations that buy them and rent them. And that's what this article is about that is all over all of our local media today and over the weekend. Fort Worth, which is, quote, one of the hottest markets for residential growth in DFW, 26% of every home in Fort Worth is owned by a corporation. I repeat, more than a quarter of all homes in Fort Worth is owned by corporations. Are you okay with that? Can I tell you what it does? And I'm going to read you. You want to really get a good chuckle? I'm going to read you a report that came out, a news report about the Democrat House-led subcommittee releasing new findings. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or a Republican. This is not about your political views. This is about corporations out of Georgia or New York or BlackRock, mega billion dollar companies that are publicly traded on the New York Stock Exchange, who said, "Oh my gosh, we can buy 5,000 houses in Dallas or Fort Worth, and we can rent them at twice the cost, and we can make a killing. And when we go to sell the houses in 5, 10, 15 years, we're going to make a killing. It's a no-brainer. And there is no limit on how many they can buy. And there is no limit on how much rent they can jack up. And what this does is, I want you to see what I'm talking about. Do you understand that 26% of every home in Fort Worth is not on the market and never will be for right now, for years and years and years? So let me ask you, how do you think that's affecting the prices of homes in Fort Worth? How do you think it's affecting the availability of homes for people like you and me to buy? How much do you think it affects the cost? How much do you think it bastardizes a market in which you would see and want 80 or 90% of the homes be owned by private owners, right? I don't have any problem with mom and pops mom and pop people owning 5 of these houses, 10 of these houses. I'm not here to say that there's something wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm against is companies who have billions buying thousands of homes, taking them off the market. And I'm going to tell you what they did to my house right by me. They bought one, and we were excited about somebody buying it and fixing it up. It was, it was not taken. It was a grandma house, and they sold it. The realtors sold some. It was terrible. Some people who were renting it, and it was bad. But then they sold it to one of these corporations, and the corporation's out of Atlanta. And I was shocked. The monthly rent on that house, as of the listing a year ago, when there was a woman in there. She was a divorcee, a young divorcee who was married to a professional baseball player. And that house, my mortgage, I'm not going to give you the numbers exactly, but my mortgage, that house is $1,000 a month more than I pay for my mortgage. And my mortgage is, I'll just leave it at that. Can you imagine $1,000 a month more that I pay for my mortgage? And see, I want to say this, my mortgage isn't tiny because it's like mostly paid off, where it's like almost nothing or something like that. You know what I mean? I'd say it's probably about average for the Metroplex, maybe a little higher. And it's $1,000 more. I'd say my mortgage is probably within a couple hundred higher or lower than most houses in my greater neighborhood. And this house is charging $1,000 a month more for rent. So then you have her sister, her mom living there. Because they didn't do anything negative or cause a disturbance, I let it go. But the typical ordinances are 5 people as many as you want with the same last name, the same family, if you will. But you can't have more than 4 unrelated. Otherwise, it's a flop house, if you will. Now, are you okay with this? Are you okay with corporations buying up more than a quarter of homes in Fort Worth, if you live in Fort Worth, or are you okay with that in Dallas? Do you think we should pass some kind of a law or regulation limiting how much corporations can buy our housing market up? Shouldn't we put some kind of a limitation on that? 800-288-WBAP is our number, 800-288-9227. And do you feel that this is negatively affecting housing prices and availability in your community? Do you feel that too? 800-288-9227, 800-288-WBAP. Now, coming up next, I'm going to share with you the one of the articles that cover the reports on what do these corporations do to communities, cities across the country. What kind of effect is this having on housing availability, housing prices, affordability? How many young people that are just trying to get started and buy their first houses cannot afford a house because of this? Not because of, Joe Biden's also a major factor in this with inflation, interest rates. They're higher than they've been in like 20 years at 7+%. None of this happened under Trump. This is all 3.5 years of Joe Biden. You know what the combined, our number, by the way, is 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. Do you know what the combined amount of inflation is for everything? If you just combine how much inflation has gone up for everything, you know, insurance, groceries, your gas, energy prices for your home, you know, heating, air conditioning, and everything, servicing your car, everything. Yeah, it's 19% higher right now than it was when Joe Biden took office. That's what he's done to us in 3.5 years. And under Trump, Joe Biden lied. Remember when he lied a couple weeks ago? He said it like 3 times in a week or two. That when he took office as the president, it was 9% inflation. It was 1.4%. He lies. It was 1.4% Trump's last day in office. And when Joe Biden took office, it was 1.4 that first, you know, several days or whatever. And then it didn't happen until 16 months of Joe Biden until it went up to 9.1%. He made it happen in just under a year and a half, 16 months. Maybe he got up to 9.1%. And now it's at like 3 something or 4 something, but it's never going down. The 9% increase from a year and a half ago is still there. It's just the rate of inflation. Now it's 3 or 4% this month more than we paid at last month. So it's still all cumulative. And this guy says, oh, it's low now. Look, I brought it down. No, you blew it up. It's still up. The most sweetest, innocuous questions one of my listeners asked me one night, sweet woman, she said, Chris, are these grocery prices ever going to go back to what they were? Let me tell you something. More than ever, my family needs it to go back, but it won't. It will never go back. You cannot. Now, Trump, if he gets reelected, pray, can do a lot of wonderful things, but I don't think it's ever going to go back. I've not heard that it ever will. It can go down, but not back. This man's destroyed so much. Okay, 800-288-WBAP. Are you okay with corporations buying up houses? Do you feel like I do that they drive up the cost of houses, the availability of houses? And are you okay with these? Shouldn't we put some kind of limits on these corporations? I sure want that. Next, first we'll start off with Kevin in North Richland Hills. Then your call. We have 3 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, 800-288-9227. News Talk 820 WBAP now on FM at 93.3. Make it a preset, y'all. 800-288-WBAP is our number. 800-288-9227. 3 lines open. 26% of all homes are owned by corporations. They're not including the local mom and pop, I believe. It's ones that are listed. They don't have a homestead exemption, so nobody lives in there that owns it. The owner's name is not on there. It indicates ownership, such as LLC, LTD, Inc., and Trust. Now, real quickly, then we go to your call. Kevin in North Richland Hills, and then Zach in, doesn't say the community. Nonetheless, we have 3 lines open, 800-288-WBAP, and we do have time to take several calls this segment. Okay, between the Democrat-led subcommittee released findings based on survey data collected from the 5 largest owner and operators of single-family rental homes in the U.S. Between March 2018 and September 2021, 5 companies. These 5 companies grew their inventory by 27%, or 76,235 single-family rental homes. Do you understand that companies bought 76,235? They tended to purchase homes in neighborhoods with significantly higher black populations. So that's even more going into people that may be disadvantaged. Companies tended to sell homes primarily through bulk sales to other institutional investors that rarely sold homes. And I'm against it anywhere. I don't care where it is. I'm seeing this in my neighborhood. Redfin found investors bought 18.4% of all homes sold in the fourth quarter of 2021. 18%, up 6% from 12% the quarter before. That means investors bought 80,000 homes in the last quarter of 2021 alone. 80,000 in 3 months. See where this is all headed? The rich get richer, and the middle class get extinguished, and the poor get poorer. This is not a political issue to me in any way, shape, or form. This must be stopped. Kevin in North Richland Hills, you're on 820 WBAP and now on FM at 93.3. Hey, Kevin.
Hey, Chris. How's it going?
Good. How are you?
Yep. We have 2 of them down the street from us. I live in North Richland Hills. I've called the city council, called it tax appraisers and everything. I've even called Greg Abbott's office and also Ted Cruz's office about this. And the gentleman that owns the 2 properties, He's ex-military, so I don't think he's involved in this. I don't know, but they said they put up for a vote, and so they just went ahead and grandfathered the ones that have acquired these properties.
Are you talking about short-term rentals?
Yes.
Oh, I'm talking about the corporations buying up long-term rentals.
They're it's all involved. Okay. And I worked with some people that did this.
I'm rabidly against those two, by the way, the short-term. Rabidly. Go ahead.
Yep. I was involved with some people that did this for a living, okay, throughout the United States. It was a corporation. And so, anyway, I'm against it. I've done everything that I was supposed to do with boots on the ground, and you keep up the good work.
Hey, what would you guess is the value of the homes, the two homes that were bought up is it on your street or your neighborhood?
It's one of the streets in our neighborhood. It's about $278,000.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, this is happening in communities that have $450,000 homes. This is happening in communities, I'm sure, that have $600,000, $800,000, $1 million homes. I mean, the short-term rentals are happening just in the same way, too. I appreciate your call, Kevin. Keep fighting the good fight, and I mean that. Zach, you want to remain private, and therefore you're calling from an undisclosed location on a satellite phone. Go ahead, brother.
Yes, sir. How are you doing this afternoon?
Good. Glad you're calling me from Guam, sir. Go ahead.
Well, I'm not calling you from Guam. I'm
Gitmo.
in Texas.
Okay.
Gitmo. Well, it's kind of a long story, and I hope...
I don't have a long time, but just go.
I'm going to do it real fast. So a couple of years ago, in my little small community, they wanted to build windmills. They put the windmills up, and all the rich people in town anticipated all these people coming to work in, and they bought all the rental properties up and then fixed them up and then jacked up the prices. Well, now, guess what? The windmills are built, and nobody's working anymore, and nobody can afford these very nice homes.
So then what's happening?
Fixed up. Well, one man has come in and bought all of them, and so a house that you used to could in this town maybe 10 years ago get for $500-$600 a month
is no longer affordable.
Well, you're paying for. I mean, we're all in my hometown. Like I said, the closest Walmart in any direction is 45 miles.
Okay. What did the houses before they were flipped into more expensive ones? What would you? I mean, they were affordable, I would assume. And now they're not because they've been turned into little pimp palaces. The market should correct that where nobody would want it, I guess, someone would say, which I would understand that. But what's happened now? We got 10 seconds. Go.
Yeah, well, nobody can afford them. They have all these nice houses that this one man has bought. And a house that you can get for $600 10 years ago, now you're going to be paying $13 to $14.
I hope they rot, and then people sell them, and then hopefully you can buy them for, 70 cents on the dollar, 60 cents. I guess they have to rot for a long time, which is really sad. I don't have time for Tom this hour. I apologize, right? But thank you for your call. What was his point? And I'll just mention it real fast. Okay. So wait, the business climate is driving up the past cost caused by the Dems. Yes, it's inflationary, but I don't want corporations buying them all up. It leaves less for us to buy, which drives up the demand and prices out people. I appreciate your call, Tom. Sorry I couldn't get to it, but at least I got your point out.